Hello. Guess who? Beattie Boy, John. Checking out the lay of the land here at the studio. Everything looks pretty good. 3 layers of clothing on. Cold day in central Ontario, Canada. Hey, this is the Dinosaur News. Dinosaur News brought to you by the British People's League, of which I am proud to be the international director, John Beattie. We still haven't got the setup going properly here. We're still waiting for the great valued administrative assistant technician. Until that day, I'll just have to hang on. And I need a nice lady to teach me how to put the cap on properly. It is winter. You know, the very first video I did, I think it was with this sweater, and I had the cap problem back then. Well, we're still not set up yet. The flag isn't showing properly. Our good old red ensign. We've got to get the red ensign in there. How's that doing? Well, was Queen Victoria crooked in her reign? I think the overall good she did was better than the improper balance I have here with her framed photo on the wall. But I think we're going to have to leave it at that, folks. The revolution can't wait till we get the pictures straightened out. We can do that after we succeed. What kind of revolution? Well, where we turn things upside down and we return Canada to its British Canadian and European Canadian roots. A friend of mine dropped by over Christmas, and he's moved away. He used to be up here in Minden. Quite a writer, a master of the English language. He used to drive him crazy in Bermuda, where he was raised. And he was called Bob's Your Uncle. And he would write in, I think it was called the Royal Bermudan Gazette. And he just drove them wacky with his wit. And same thing's happening in Bermuda. Blacks are overwhelming the whites, etc. Wherever the white man dwells, we're being surrounded, aren't we? Is this hysteria, or is it a fact? But who cares? Who cares, right? The credit cards covered Christmas, so who cares? Well, there are a few of us who do care, including this lad, and that's what I'm doing here with you today on December the what? December 30th, a day to go in 2014. 1 day to go. I wonder how many more fires will be set in Sweden. Oh, Sweden! We're not talking New York or Los Angeles fires set by black protesters. No, there's something very unusual going on in Sweden. If you click in Sweden mosque fires, mosque arson, Sweden, in Google. Mosque arson, Sweden. It's being suggested there's been 13 mosque fires deliberately set. And you can be sure that the attenders of the mosques aren't interested in insurance money. So the only conclusion left is that the Swedish people, the Swedish natives, indigenous Swedes, are fed up with their ladies being raped by third world newcomers. And you can look that up in the Swedish statistics as well. Beautiful blonde ladies having their faces kicked in and raped. Worrying about the hockey game in Canada or whatever. And these things are going on in fellow countries. Cousins, the Swedish. Anyway, on yours truly's Facebook right now, there's a picture of the latest mosque fire. Yes, mosque fire. 13 of them in 2014, and the year's not even over. There's a day to go. I summarize, just with my experience in life, even though I had some of the gray hair hacked off over the years just prior to Christmas, I summarize that there is a Swedish underground of native Swedes who are fed up to the teeth. Underground resistance. Similar to World War II, when you had the French underground, the Dutch underground. When your country is being invaded and taken over, people are going to rebel in the only way they know possible, underground. Especially if your head of state is a collaborator, as the Vichy regime did in the Second World War, if the head of Britain, if the head of Sweden, or if they're collaborating and bringing in third world immigration, they're forcing the native whites into a corner. As a result, I'm convinced there's an underground resistance being formed in Sweden. I'm just speculating on what I read on the internet as to these mosque fires. This underground stuff could spread. It could spread to Britain. It could spread to any country that's being invaded by the third world. Heaven forbid. Is that why I talked about Uncle Bob a few minutes ago? Before Uncle Bob left, that was his sign-off on the Bermuda newspaper that drove them wacko. He said, why don't you call today's show, December 30th show, John? He said, why don't you call it Keep the Home Fires Burning? Remember that old tune, all you old native British Canadians and the motherland, born in Britain, still living in the good old Blighty? Keep the home fires burning. And then I went into the Swedish well, they're not Swedish mosques. They're mosques in Sweden. But there's 13 of them, 13 to 15 being burnt. Arson. Keep the home fires burning. It's war for the survival of the peoples. What do you expect? I'm not promoting illegality, okay? And yes, on our homepage we have an editorial talking about a legal underground. But I say legal. You can still call a political cell with 3 people clinking glasses. 3 people that you've known for a long time. You can trust each other. Legal. By the same token, you can't stop me from grinning with pleasure that there's an organized resistance, underground resistance in Sweden. What do you expect people to do? Your backs are pushed against the wall. What do you expect? Speaking of the wall, I'm trying to look at the layout. Yes, I've got the the old Cruel Sea sweater on here. I don't know what they called it. The people at Candor told me a Guernsey. That was it, a Guernsey. I've got it covering another sweater. Yes, here's Beattie's little cry here, but it's cool in itself. I can only afford, and I can hardly afford that, to keep the temperature at 54 Fahrenheit. That's what? 24 Celsius. For the winter. And I have to shut the furnace off overnight, otherwise I couldn't keep the house. And then there wouldn't be a studio for the British People's League. There are people who have helped a lot in the past, and I know everyone has their money problems, but hey, as I say on other shows, I don't think it's fair that I have to pay for the server for the internet for these YouTube Dinosaur News shows. So think about making a donation. It would be much appreciated. Okay, now, Candor, our friends in the UK. Candor. They have sent out their latest issue of the magazine throughout the United Kingdom, and perhaps some in North America received their edition as well. This is the latest edition, edition number 856, 856. And you know their publication is tops. Candor, C-A-N-D-O-U-R, candor.org.uk. Candor.org.uk. So that's our buddies in the homeland, in the motherland. Not going to get into other groups. There's so many competitive groups and they're squabbling, etc. Candor somehow has remained neutral and keep their base with their publication and their fine editorials and their website. Check them out. And then along with our triumvirate of leagues, threesome here, again, the League of the South. I have a more concrete, say you go to Google, leagueofthesouth.com. Leagueofthesouth.com. And I'll tell you, the head of the League of the South, based of course in the South, in the Confederate South, is Dr. Hill, Dr. Michael Hill. And let me tell you, I've heard a video of Dr. Hill. And this man has got the plan to a T as far as the future of the South goes. I did a video interview when you get into leagueofthesouth.com. He was interviewed, the name slips me who interviewed him, December 19th. And that interview, Dr. Hill, is just brilliant, explaining in detail all of the odds and ends of the Second Confederacy. So there's your triumvirate, as usual, the three of us. British People's League, based here in Canada, Central Ontario Cottage Country. Candor League in the United Kingdom, League of the South. Just switching back to that arson business by the underground resistance in Sweden. Not only 13 to 15 mosques set fire to this year, 2014. Is that what I call a year-end wrap-up? I think so. I love it. Two of those fires just this week. Again, go on JB's Facebook. You're on the home page. In the right-hand column, there's a link. And also, we've put the link for Facebook near the top of the home page, so you can get into this home fires burning in Sweden. Keep the home fires burning. My, what a slogan. What else have we got? Year-end wrap-up. Well, I have to apologize that I haven't done more dinosaur news. At the beginning of last winter, well, around February, March, I talked of even trying to do it daily. I think I tried for a week or two. It's exhausting. It's hard work. I don't know how these American blog shows do it. There's some hosts on there every day. I take my hat off to my. Well, I could probably do a show a day, but I know you're sick and tired of hearing of Beattie's money problems, okay? If the money problem is taken care of, I could do a show a day. But like all of us, we've got to keep the roof over our head. Even though I'm retired from a regular job, I spend a lot of time juggling to make sure I can keep the house. As it is, I do a show when I'm in the mood. That's the way it is. Now, if I feel obligated, if some real big donations came in that made me really feel obligated, well, small donations from people who can't afford it are meaningful too. So that's the way it is, and I hate going on about it, but that's just the way it is. I have to explain why I'm not doing more shows. As far as throwing passion into the shows, I think the passion is in the underground resistance in Sweden right now. Heaven forbid if such activity would spread. That would be unlawful, and this boy doesn't promote anything unlawful whatsoever. But again, when history is written of countries that are invaded, are undergrounds considered legal? French underground was considered legal when they were invaded. The Dutch underground were considered legal when Holland was invaded. So I think when there's a full invasion on a country, it becomes quite the tricky legal question. When the indigenous people are being smothered and genocide committed against them, drastic measures are taken. I'm not promoting any drastic measures. Okay, let's make that clear. I'm reviewing what's going on in Sweden right now, and it could spread to other Western Christian nations who are fed up to the teeth. I lean over like this to keep an eye on the time. You could say I could look at the watch by the time I study the watch, but it's synchronizing to 20 minutes. And as those steady viewers know, I've mentioned it in the past, if we go over 20 minutes on the small setup here, it doesn't work. I can't then transmit to YouTube, to our list, etc. To our secure list. We have a smaller list now after that mole incident last year. No one was hurt by it. One friend was offended, and I sort of don't blame him. Nobody likes a mole hacking in on emails, but the emails were harmless. They actually built up our case. If the emails hacked by the mole were studied carefully, they would see that it's just talking about protecting our people, that's all. So that was probably the biggest bad event in 2014 from a political perspective. And then from the personal perspective, as I said in the last video, I had the big C, but we've got it completely under control, and that all came and left in 2014 as well. And the election running for Deputy Reeve in the small area here, tons of publicity, drew a lot of people to our YouTubes, so it was worth it. I ended up with about, I think it was 4.8% of the vote without spending a dime. Didn't spend one dime. And I think there's about 217 votes. The winner got around 1,800, you know, well-known establishment type. But the fact is 217 people voted for John Beattie in this small area. That's a lot of people, 217 people, with all the smears. So that was part of 2014. The future, we want to talk about the future. Well, I really would like to increase the YouTubes. We'll see what happens. Time will tell. And I really promote the Candor League and League of the South. There's nothing big or whopping that I can add. The invasion is still on from the third world, Somalians, you name it, pouring into Western civilization countries. And there has to be a stop put to it. We, friends of the British People's League, we like to think that we are a stable factor that keeps inspiring you viewers out there during 2015. We hope that we are worthy of your viewing and listenership. We do the best we can. But we're not going into professorial doctrines on these shows, just down to earth, average guy, in touch with a lot of people, and I can't add a lot to that. I don't know what else we could talk about spicier than mosques being set on fire by an underground, so check it out. Swedish mosques. Bloodthirsty? No, it's war. We're being invaded all over Western civilization. Another person over the holidays snickered when one of the emails that was exposed where I stated that the motherland has been invaded. Leeds, Bradford, Luton. I mean, people that know the score. So we're here to keep you inspired. We aren't going anywhere. We're going to be here through 2015. And we're keeping in touch with the best, the cream of the crop. We leave the educational aspects to other people. We're talking to those who know the score. Those who admit that there's an invasion. Those who admit that multiculturalism has failed. Those who admit that they don't want their grandchildren marrying outside of our own Anglo-Celtic tribe. Well, we'll throw Anglo-Saxon in there too, with my Scottish history, ancestry, and a little bit in favor of the Celtic aspect, that's for sure. Okay, we're getting close to 19 minutes, another minute. Well, I want you all to have a very happy New Year, those that are worthy, and I do put that stipulation. And if you've been a real bad person during the year, well, you better smarten up if you want good, sincere, Happy New Year greetings from this lad. Anyway, British People's League, we're here for you. We're strong, we're stable, and we're raring to go in 2015. So until next time, I get down by the stop recording button, look you dead in the eye and say, God save the Queen.